Hi, everybody. Dr. Joan Ifland here. So glad you're with us today. I'm always glad to see you. Today, we are going to be talking about a life-saving topic, and it is how to get a lapse to stop and even prevent a lapse from starting. We're going to talk about 5 specific things to do that will stop a lapse. Why is this so important? Well, because lapses are painful, they are dangerous. The addiction is so severe that we're putting things into our body that actually attack our cells in 8 different ways. We also want to prevent the next lapse, and we want to be able to help the people around us. The more we help the people around us, the less likely they are to trigger us into a lapse. The toxification from processed foods just is shocking. It's not any wonder that 140 diseases are associated with processed foods: mental, emotional, behavioral, physical. When we know that processed foods are attacking cell function in 8 ways, it's just not surprising that almost every disease would be made worse from processed foods. So it's really worth it to invest time, effort, mental resources, emotional resources to preventing lapses. And if one occurs, because we live in a culture where the corporations are allowed to trigger us, so it's not unlikely, not for everybody, that one will occur. So to know how to get it stopped is really valuable. So step 1 is tell someone you trust. Tell someone who is trustworthy, because the very telling moves the blood supply away from the addicted brain cells, which are controlling behavior during a lapse, and shifting the blood supply to the part of the brain that speaks. So getting out of the addicted brain cells, getting the blood supply to stop flowing to the addicted brain cells is your first line of defense. The addiction, of course, knows this. So those addicted brain cells are going to be fighting tooth and nail to get you to not tell anybody. They're going to be pumping out shame messages. The messages tell you how to hide. Don't let anybody see this. And of course, in the ARC, we embrace you. We want to hear it. We know exactly what's going on. And we know the voice of the addiction is lying. There is no shame in lapsing. Just know how to take care of it and don't succumb to the lies of the addiction about hiding it. So who is trustworthy? A trustworthy person will lift you up. You are in a difficult spot. They will lift you up, and they will protect you from minimizing. So minimizing is, oh, it wasn't that bad. Nothing really happened. Minimizing is the gateway to doing it again. So this is somebody who knows how to protect the brain against the addiction by giving you true messaging, by associating, for example, by associating the lapse with very specific pain and very specific dangers. And someone who is going to tell the truth about processed foods. You don't want somebody who's going to try to say that it's okay in any way. So who should you tell? Tell your ARC advocate, or you can PM a director, or go into a chat and speak it to a host. Any trained ARC member will know exactly what to do to protect you against the next one and get the lapse to stop. So who should you avoid telling? Well, anybody who's going to shame you or blame you. You did not ask for this. Addictions take a while to recover from. It takes a while to build the skills to stop lapsing. So you don't want to talk to somebody who's going to say, well, why don't you have more willpower? Or you're not doing it right, and that's why you lapsed. or you don't want recovery enough, and that's why you lapsed. And now you'll have to start over. None of that is true. It's psychologically abusive, and it will actually drive you deeper into the lapse because it's painful. So, step 2, after you've told somebody trustworthy, that trustworthy person is going to attach pain to the lapse. So that trustworthy person knows how to build a very wide, very short highway from thoughts of lapsing to the pain. And this is preventive. So we know that people are much more motivated by pain aversion than by the prospect of pleasure. So we want to activate the recovery voice. We want lapsing to be synonymous with pain. That is how you develop aversion. That is how you protect the brain. So we're overriding the addiction voice. Oh, processed foods are fun, and see, nothing happened. That's the voice of the addiction. Just think of the brain as having, the brain has many countries. The neurons are organized into little nodes. There are clusters of neurons that do very specific things. So you have a cluster of addicted brain cells that are trying to protect their dominance, their power. And then you have the frontal lobe, which is fighting with everything it's got to keep those substances out of your body. So the addicted brain cells are going to have all these lies. It is not fun to be sick. It is not fun to be in pain. The food industry has worked very hard to associate processed foods with fun. And it is just, it kills 1 million Americans every 2 years, that idea. This is not fun. This is incredibly painful. And it means that you miss out on your entire life because you're numb. And life is about experiences. And it's really fun to be engaged in life. It's not fun to be numbed out on a painful substance. So this is why we stop and we associate the pain with lapsing. Because the next time, if we do enough of this association of pain with lapsing, the next time the lapse idea comes into your head, the pain will come up with it, and pain aversion will protect you. So pick out your top 5 pain points. Pick out a mental one, like swirling thoughts. Think about cravings that make you crazy, or think about not being able to think at all, brain fog. Think about the emotional aspects, the mad, the sad, afraid, ashamed, guilty, lonely, disgusted, emotions all over the place, yelling at people you love. Think about the physical aspects. It hurts really bad for a very long time. And then the behavioral, you can't sleep, you're restless, but you don't know what to do, you're lethargic, but you want to do things. It's just, behaviors are awful. Really lay it on, think about the medications, early death, isolation, amputation, blindness, kidney failure, Alzheimer's, heart attack, cancer, stroke, paralysis. These substances are just really severe poisons. So sink into this, cement this in, build the highway to these thoughts, but from lapsing to all these horrible things. All right, step 3, squash the self-blame. So you don't want self-blame to be missed, because it is a pain and it will drive you back into the lapsing. So just think about how big tobacco created big food addiction. Say, this is not my fault. I didn't ask for this. This is a serious addiction. But we are exposed to intense cueing all the time. The food industry hires these highly trained addiction scientists from Harvard and Stanford to make you do this, to create enough addiction in your brain that it overrides your self-protection and your rational thought. So remember, this is the only addiction that really gets its claws in childhood. There are a lot of different substances involved, and that billions of brain cells need to be rewired before we have a consistent self-control. Now, I will say that with this 5-step video, I am expecting a vast increase in people's ability to stop lapsing earlier in the game. I am. We've been trialing this in the ARC for about 6 weeks now, I'm guessing, and it's working. People are getting control much sooner and more consistently than when we were just saying, oh, this is not your fault. So associating the pain is the big step forward. Step 4, unpack why it happened. Things like emotions, fatigue, cueing, lack of clean food, cravings. The ARC has techniques for neutralizing these triggers. We will teach you a protective sleep schedule. We will teach you food prep routines that fit into your schedule. We will teach you emotional processing. We will teach you cue load management, how to tell when your cueing is building up to the tipping point, and certainly how to stop cravings. So when you unpack why it happened, then you go to the ARC and it will show you what to do about it. Tell your advocate, and your advocate will suggest the right routines, the right ARC exercises to help you. Speak the tweak. So there are things to do differently. And once you unpack what happened, then you will know what tweaks to start thinking about. This all goes very slowly. This is not like rapid deployment. Everything we do in the ARC goes slowly because slow and steady wins the race. The slower you go, the further you get, and we have all the time in the world. So once you decide what you're going to do differently next time, speak it out loud to somebody, because this will focus the brain. It will make the likelihood that the tweak will happen much greater. Obviously, spend more time in the ARC, get your ARC, your safe territory. The addiction is like a terrorist country, and your frontal lobe is like your safety home country. And spending time in the ARC just fortifies your safe home country, your frontal lobe, and it weakens the terrorist country, the addicted brain cells. So scope out your self-care, like really watch. We are making this self-care video. It is available in the library. Watch the self-care video and just think, like, what would be easiest for me to do to up my self-care? Breathe. Do the anti-craving breath work. There is a breath work video in the library. So watch that and do learn the anti-craving breath work. Do a daily ARC exercise. Just pick out the one you like best. The 8 healing questions, the Byron Katie questions, the what I wanted story, even a because card. But do something every day to process whatever emotions built up from the day before. Join the writing pod. That's a great way to process emotions. Keep track of where you are. It's a great place to really surface what kind of self-care you're doing and what you might like to do. Get more sleep. Get those screens turned off well before you're going to bed. And dedicate some time to reliable meal prep. Just start thinking slowly, maybe with an affirmation. I have plenty of time to prep meals. Lean on the ARC. You're a member of the ARC. We are here for you. It's easy to use the ARC. Just flip on your Zoom or go to the ARC Facebook group or open up one of the daily emails. Get into your private messenger pod if you're on Facebook. But it's easy to get in and divert that blood flow from the addicted brain cells to your frontal lobe. The arc is full of kindness and compassion. We are gently rewiring the brain. We're extracting the wiring that the food industry put in there, and we are putting self-protective, self-caring wiring instead. You know, we are based on cutting-edge research. We're always learning something new. We're focused on the real problem, which is a severe addiction. We've all been where you are, and this is a very safe environment. So come in, come in, come in, come into the arc. Get out of the storm of the lapse and come into the arc. Thank you so much. You know that we are training people worldwide to help others in recovery. You can get the best training on the planet. I'm just beyond being modest. We need to get what's going on accurately out there. And we do have the best training. You can learn more about it at foodaddictionrecoveryadvocate.com. You can have a fulfilling job and career with the ARC. So email us at info@processedfoodaddiction.com or talk to your advocate or anybody about how to connect with us. I'm so grateful to you. I'm grateful that you are learning how to protect yourself from these vicious corporations and how to lead a fabulous life. Because when you do that, I do that too. I copy you. And I want to lead a fabulous life. I want to lead my fabulous life with you here in the ARC. Take care, everybody.